Well, it has been accomplished. I have completed a Dark Souls no-hit run, and boy was it much more challenging than Elden Ring. Even though the bosses in DS1 have 2 moves max, you still have to actually fight them, and the time between bosses was much tougher. And to top it off, this run was the most scuffed attempt out of them all. Everything that could have went wrong did, and it was very tense, but alas, of course, since this video is a thing, the run was successful in the end. So, without further delay, let's begin. We start with the warrior class and the master key, making our way through the undead asylum until we get our longsword, talking to Oscar, and then carefully taking out these hollows until we come to the asylum demon. We use this trick by doing a jump attack by flicking the left stick forward and pressing the light attack at the same time, causing us to do an attack on the demon before the plunge triggers, causing even more damage. Now, this video isn't an in-depth guide for the run. I'll have little tips and tricks for not only this challenge, but also casual playthroughs. However, there is nothing to say about the asylum demon, as if you need help with this boss, this type of challenge is not for you. But anyway, afterwards we get the soul and make our way to Lordran. There's some setup to begin, notably the humanity, fire bombs, some souls, homeward bones, and the undead talismans. Then we make our way down this elevator to use the master key to get access to the Valley of the Drakes. Dodge past these ones, then go up the elevator to get the bonfire, and make our way back down because we need to get the red tearstone ring. DS1 is full of these sections where you just have to put your faith in a higher power and hope you don't get hit. Here we bait out all these drakes and quickly get up the ladder and just pray they don't shoot lightning at you, and as far as I know it can be completely random. But if you do make it, you get the ring and you homeward bone back to the bonfire. And straight away there is another dodgy part. You can make this much safer by backstabbing the Black Knight. However, at this point, since it's so early in, I don't care too much, so I just risk it. You get past him and then get the Grass Crest shield, and then we also set up Red Tearstone ring at this ledge while we get the longbow, and then we kill the Crystal Lizard. And in case there is anyone attempting this run, this is useful to know, as depending on how many chunks, if you get any from this Crystal Lizard, it can be the difference of having a +2 or +3 weapon later on in the run, which isn't too big a difference, but it is noticeable, and more damage is never a bad thing. Next we kill these 2 moss enemies in the hope we get a purple moss clump. If not, it's not a big deal, it just means a longer wait for Red Tearstone ring later on. Afterwards we continue through past the Titanite demon to the undead parish bonfire. We head off and sprint past everything to quickly get the halberd and bone straight back to the bonfire, then buying 6 Titanite from Andre and upgrading our halberd to +4. And from here we have a straight beeline to Quelaag. We go down the elevator shortcut to Firelink, go back down to the Valley of the Drakes, head into Blighttown through the back entrance, sprinting past everything and hopping on this platform. Then we make our way through the swamp to reach Quelaag. Now, if you didn't get a purple moss, then you just use an Estus to recover to full health when the poison bar reaches this little notch, and it will perfectly set up our TSR. Although you will need to wait a solid 2 or so minutes before the boss fight. Now, Quelaag really isn't too bad, but she can be very annoying. We are looking to punish the lava spit attacks, hoping to get the longer one, otherwise we are just trying to bait it out, avoiding all the lava on the ground, especially near the entrance to the arena on the slope. Since the ground isn't level, it can be very weird and you can get hit, even when what you see visually is different. But afterwards we ring the first bell of awakening, drop down to go to Ceaseless Discharge. We just run through, get this armor set and wait for him to attack, then sprint all the way back to the entrance where he will leap towards you. I recommend rolling when he does this just to be safe, as this can do damage to you somehow. Afterwards we homeward bone back to the undead parish. We level endurance to 20, strength to 16 and dexterity to 22, buy 12 titanite and upgrade both halberd and bow to +5 and spend the remaining souls we have on large arrows. And then it's off to the bell gargoyles. We kill these hollows and the big knight, then set up our TSR on the elevator. Then we snipe the mage and this boulder knight and trigger the hollows to chase us down this hallway. We snipe them as best we can and then run back if needed. There are 10 in total as well, so you can keep count. Then after this next night we get a humanity, and then it's time for the boss. Bell gargoyles are very easy with the right RNG. Aim to cut the tail off the first one, as this pretty much ensures an easy kill before the second one spawns in. And then when the second does come, we wait for the fire attack where we can do one heavy attack to kill him outright. After we ring the second bell of awakening, getting some homeward bones from the T-pose guy, and then we unfortunately have to kill Andre as he gives us the crest of Artorias instead of buying it for 20,000 souls. Then we run back through the Titanite demon room and kill the tree guys on the way to the crest door, running past all these NPCs to talk to the cat to de-aggro them. And then we kick Shiva around the corner here so there are no witnesses to us murdering his bodyguard for the wood grain, or better known as the flip ring. Then we bone back to the undead parish. And then we're ready for Sen's fortress. Sen's isn't much of a problem on this run because we just sprint past everything, and I mean everything. We shoot the walls on each side here to draw the two snake enemies aggro, and then we can sprint right past them, keep on sprinting past everything, and then running over this trap to kill this lizard, and then we wait for the ball to crush the next one, and keep sprinting through and running down these stairs until we come to this mimic chest. We hit the mimic twice and then use the undead talismans over and over to hopefully get the symbol of avarice. And then we go onwards to the closest bonfire to the Iron Golem boss. Before that though, we drop down here and wait for the snake enemy to drop off the ledge, then lure this other one so their AI just glitches and drops down onto this ledge, and then we get the slumbering dragon crest ring. Then we set up our TSR conveniently with 2 drops here and make our way up to the giant above the boss arena and wait for him to throw a tantrum, and then he is exhausted afterwards, letting us kill him and giving us a Titanite chunk. Then Iron Golem is quite straightforward. We hope to get this attack as we get 3 hits on his leg, and then 2 more will stagger him, which will then make him fall off the edge. However, if he is not close enough, then we just have to keep attacking him during this period where he's staggered, and a few more attacks will kill him after he recovers. But then afterwards we are taken to Anor Londo. We go straight to the aggro the mimic, and he gives us a weapon for the rest of the run, the crystal halberd. Then we level up to 24 endurance and 30 dexterity, and then we just make our way to the Anor Londo rafters, setting up our TSR on the way, where we just bait out the painted guardians to make them walk off, or just shoot them with an arrow to make them fall off. Then we cheese a gargoyle by just shooting it with arrows, sprinting past this giant, and then we make this demon fall off with an arrow and do this nifty jump attack on this hidden one. Then we're going to shoot these 2 from range, then it's time for the infamous Anor Londo archers. Now the way I do this is not recommended for anyone playing the game at whatever level, and this isn't me saying I'm just so good at the game or anything, this is just pure stupidity. What I do is just run around here for a bit waiting for the 2 shots back to back from the further archer, then after the second shot has hit the pillar we can deal with the one blocking progression. However, I don't use a headset because I wasn't really trying too hard at this point, so I was just constantly having to move the camera between them both. If you are taking it more seriously, you can listen out for the double shot from the one on the left, and then you can sprint right through. But thankfully we managed on the run anyway, and then we get the bonfires to our left. We head up to get the symbol of avarice as a guaranteed drop from this mimic, then make our way to the giant blacksmith to buy arrows, upgrade our halberd, also killing these demons for an extra chunk to upgrade it to +2. And now we are on to Ornstein and Smo. Typically this fight is the hardest thing in the run, and probably the game. However, there is one specific strategy that makes it completely trivial. I wasn't able to do it on this attempt, but it goes like this. We run into the boss room and then bone out instantly. We make our way back after setting up our TSR and run into this corner at the fog wall. Then we do a back step and do a heavy attack, and if Ornstein has done his dash attack, we can do 2 more light attacks on him, and the first phase is done in literally a few seconds. Now I gave it multiple attempts, but I was getting terrible RNG, so this attempt I thought, screw it, I can't be bothered to wait another 5 minutes setting up our TSR, so I just decided to fight them normally. Even though it was pretty scuffed, I got good RNG with Smo's lack of attacks and the ones that Ornstein did, and then the first phase was pretty easy. And then Mega Smo on his own is a joke anyway, so we managed to beat the boss the traditional way. We kill Guinevere for the Lord Vessel, level up endurance and dexterity more, and place the Lord Vessel underneath Firelink Shrine. And then it's time for the catacombs. We get past these skeletons and kill this necromancer in the first running attack, not like this. I almost had a heart attack when I realised it wasn't dead, and then we bow this next one, and then make the skeletons unalive themselves off the cliff, then drop down and wait in this hallway for a skeleton to de-aggro. Then we can lure the skeletons to this spot by taking the slumbering dragon crest ring off, then putting it back on to run past all the bone wheel enemies to get to the next boss. Pinwheel has always been a joke, and never more so than here in this run. We set up our TSR and then jump in, making sure we are spamming the roll button just so we can store a roll for after the cutscene, so we don't have that little stagger when you land. We do one running attack and then then an R1 kills him. Then we run not so safely past all these skeletons in the catacombs, getting the next bonfire. We kill Patches because he's an asshole, and then get the skull lantern to trade with the crows by going to the nest at the top of Firelink Shrine and then dropping it here at the Undead Asylum for the Ring of Fog. Afterwards we bone back to the bonfire and run through the catacombs, avoiding the skeleton dog as these things are very dangerous, and then past the giant skeleton to get to the room with all the pinwheels. We take our time using the bow on the first two, then sprint past the rest and enter the boss fog. We put on the Slumbering Dragon Crest and Fog Ring so the skeletons in Nito's arena don't see us. We jump into the arena, and it's crucial that we store a roll here as Nito can do this ranged attack where he makes a sword come up through the ground at your location, so if you are staggered when you drop in and he does that, you may be screwed. We lure Nito over, hoping his big fat ass doesn't get caught on the skeletons, and then he is pretty easy. He only has a few moves, but he does love spamming his AoE. But after Nito, we level up some more and it's on to Sif. We head back to the Undead Parish and put on the Symbol of Avarice as we make our way over, past all the little tree guys and back through the Covenant area until we reach the boss arena. So Sif can be a little bitch a lot of the time. He loves jumping around sporadically, and if you get touched by any part of him when he does this, it does count as a hit. And he also does a second jump after he leaps a lot of the time for some reason, so we always have to be wary of that. Otherwise we just bait out this one running attack over and over again, and once his health is low enough he starts limping and can't attack as fast, so we just outdistance and sadly finish him with the bow. We then collect the Hornet Ring, and next up is the Duke's Archives. Heading over to Anor Londo, we bait out this boar and then we run past the next one up to the elevator. We shoot this wall about 400 times to attract all the enemies over here and then sprint past everything to reach the next elevator. And here normally you go up and have this scripted death to Sif, which doesn't count as a hit or anything anyway, but instead we do something called the Duke Skip, which skips that death and the whole prison portion of the game. We use the bow and aim roughly here on the lever wall, and then roll to the right, forwards, and then back to land on the railing, and then we aim to the side of this brick, and then roll off when we pass this part of the wall, and then from there we've skipped a good 10 minutes or so. We just continue on, making this archer fall off the ledge, and then we run down into the crystal caves. It's unnecessary, but to be safe, I shoot this wall to attract the golem, and then we get this humanity, and then we bait out the next golden golem, and then we can safely make our way to the clams before Sif. We take it slow and kill these one by one, and then we enter the boss arena. We wait by this crystal thing that makes him invincible until he comes really close, and then we punch it and use all the stamina we have while he is in this animation on attacking him. Then we move back a bit to bait out his AoE so we can run in and use the rest of the stamina to kill him from there. We level up once again, and now we are just running straight to the hidden bonfire just after Quelaag to trade 30 humanities to unlock the shortcut to the Bed of Chaos. We run down and we can lure this Capra demon and sprint past all these statues and this Taurus demon until we reach the shortcut. We wait for an electric attack on the Titanite demon here so we can run past him, and then we just keep sprinting past everything using the Fog and Slumbering Dragon Crest ring until we can get to the Bed of Chaos. Now thankfully there is a cheese for Bed of Chaos, as I could not imagine even attempting this the standard way, but we run right up to it, then stand at around 6 tiles in and throw 2 fire bombs at each of the arm things that are keeping us from progressing. And here is another one of those things I did that I would not condone or that I would not recommend on any attempts of this. Bed of Chaos can do a fire AoE that reaches through this tunnel and will easily end your run. You can wait for a very specific animation or something to avoid this, but I just didn't care enough, so I just risked it and thankfully got lucky. We level up again, and now it's time for the New Londo ruins. We head back to Firelink and go down the elevator, then we'll get the transient curses from this pot and then kill the first 2 ghosts and then the next 2 up the stairs. We bait out the next ones in this room and kill them with the bow, and then we sprint straight past all of them but kill the next one at this fog wall. Then we can shoot this guy to get the key to the depths, and we bait out all the ghosts in this building as they can be very cheesy, and then we'll sprint straight through to drain the water so we can jump down and reach the 4 kings. Now 4 kings are very RNG reliant. On this there will only be a max of 3 kings, but if any of the first 2 throw a projectile when they spawn, then we just have to bone out and try again, and this happened to me 3 times, having to run turn back for a very sketchy route to reach the arena. But the Four Kings themselves are really fun. Even though they can be pretty scary this close to the end of the run, they are very fun to fight and not too much of a challenge at this point for me. And so after them, we are ready for Gwyn. We end with roughly 40 endurance and dex. Any further is really minuscule, so not really worth it. We set up our TSR with both Slumbering Dragon Crest and Fog Ring to avoid the Black Knights. Then we put on the Hornet Ring and our TSR, and we just run past all the Black Knights until we reach the fog wall. We roll here as they can hit you through it, but now all we have to do is get 2 parries on Gwyn. He will most likely open up with the jumping attack, which is the easiest to parry. We then circle around, roll back 3 times and wait for his next lunging attack, where after this parry you just get behind him and 2 light attacks should kill him. And with that, Dark Souls has been beaten without getting hit a single time. This was a really enjoyable challenge. I like the increase in difficulty, in particular the sections between bosses compared to Elden Ring, and although you have to actually fight bosses, DS1 doesn't have the depth of Elden Ring, and most bosses are very easy and you probably no-hit them casually anyway. But with that, it makes it 2 out of 7 for no-hitting all the Fromsoftware games that I intend to do probably this year. Thank you so much for watching, I appreciate it a lot. If you enjoyed, if you could like and subscribe, that would also mean a lot. Thanks again guys, and we'll see you in the next one.